श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथासम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतं पङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। We are studying from the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is known as the Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti means glories. When we know that a person has got certain quality, then we get attracted to that person or we get repulsed to that person. We either like that person or do not like that person. Suppose you have not seen somebody in person, and yet if we hear something good about them, we feel that we should become friends or we should know that person. Or if somebody talks very negatively about some person, naturally we would not like to know that person. So the same happens in the case of the Lord, the Divine also. Once we come to know what are the qualities of the Divine, it is easier for us to remember the Divine. That is why we have so many names of gods, Sahasranamams and all of that. So that we can get an idea about the magnanimity or the greatness of the Divine. Not that God wants us to call by all the names, it is not that. But it is for our own understanding, for our own thinking or our own enjoyment or happiness that we do that. For example, we all wear different, we don't wear the same clothes every day. we wear different clothes on different days. And that in the same way we call on the divine with different names, with different forms. So Sri Krishna is impressing upon us that he is present everywhere, but he is more present, or we can know God better in those items or those things where there is greatness. That means where there is a richness, or where there is more strength. Sri Ramakrishna always used to say that wherever you find an exuberance or a greatness of strength, of love, of knowledge, etc., know or try to remember that God is specially manifest over there. God's a special manifest. God is everywhere, there is no doubt, but he is specially manifest there. Another example that could be given is air is everywhere. Within this hall there is air, outside there is air and all of that, but the air that we consume within this hall is cool air. It's cool. In winter, of course, we can make it a bit warm. So it is more comfortable for us. So, but it is the same air as it is outside ultimately. But we just conserve it, or we confine it to some things and say God is present, or the air is cool, or the air is more warm, and so on and so forth. So in the same way, the Lord also is present everywhere, but he is specially manifest in certain people, in certain items, more than in the normal people or in normal items. So in the 19th verse of the 10th chapter, Sri Krishna is saying, Hantate kathayishyami divyahyatma vibhutaya pradhanyata kurusrishta nastyanto vistarasya. I shall mention only the chief among them, the most important among them. There is no end to the details that can be spoken about. God can be spoken about in many, many, many ways. So in the 20th verse, Sri Krishna makes a very important point, which we should all remember. Aham atma gudakesha sarva bhutashaya sthitaha aham adischa madhyam cha bhutanam anta eva cha. Aham atma gudakesha. Who am I? God is saying. Sri Krishna is saying, Aham atma. I am the Atman. What is the Atman? Atman is the self that is within every being. The spark of divine which is everywhere, in everything and every being. Aham atma gudakesha. Sarva bhut, and then he says, Sarva bhuta ashaya sthitaha. Sarva bhuta means in all beings. Ashaya sthitaha, in the heart. Is this the physical heart? No, it is not the physical heart. If you cut it down and then see whether God is there, you will not find the divine over there. But it is the spiritual heart. When we say something about me or I, what do? We put our palm to our heart or the chest. That is to say, I reside here. My being is here. Aham atma gudakesha sarva bhutashaya sthita. And then aham adischa. Adi means I am the beginning of everything. There is the whole universe was contained within the divine. The whole universe manifests from the divine, comes out of the divine, and it goes back into the divine. Just for a simple example that we give is that of a seed. You take a mango seed, all right, or a mango stone. So the seed is there. Now, if you take the seeds to somebody and say, here is a mango tree, mango plant, what would he say? Oh, you are a fool. It is not a plant. It is just a mango seed. Say, no, there is tree in it. How? Well, if you then plant it properly, then give the proper nutrients to it, then it will become a plant, isn't it? So in the same way, the divine is in everyone. He is there in the beginning, he is there in the middle, and there is also going to be there at the end also. It starts from the divine, he is in the divine, and then it ends in the divine. Aham adhischa madhyancha, I am the beginning and I am the middle, that means the manifestation, that means where it comes out, and anta evacha, I am also at the end. The Lord always assures us, those who think of the divine at all times, the divine will come and take them by their hand. We see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, the life of Holy Mother and Swami Vivekananda, that how they have come to people's lives more so at the time of their death, and they have taken them away. So I will just mention one of the incidents which I know personally because of my contact with that person. So this Swami was in the hospital, and he was suffering from tuberculosis in those days. It was in the 1950s. So he was suffering, and then everybody thought that he will live for a little longer, but then no. One day he called everyone, bed number 17, bed number 18, because they were all patients in the same ward. And it was about 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the night. So he said, my mother has come, I am now going, she is coming, she has come. So goodbye, take care of yourself. So he then sat up on the bed, and then he said, Mother, you have come, let us go. Held her hand and then went away. So this happens to many people, not only him, but there are many cases where the divine comes and takes us over to the other side. So aham adhischa madhyancha bhutanam antayevacha. That is the main thing, is he is there hidden, or he is there seated in every being, in the heart of every being. Aham atma gudakesha. We have to remember this at all times. When we are faced with trials and tribulations, when we feel that there is no one to help us, or when we feel that life is becoming very difficult for us, just let us place our palm on our heart and then think that the divine is seated over there, and that he is looking after us and he is taking care of us. We will get a lot of peace of mind by doing this. Always try to do this. Aham atma gudakesha. Now Sri Krishna is talking to us about the different places where we can find him more. That is, where we can experience the divine more. What is it? Adityanam aham Vishnur Jyotisham Raviram Shuman Marichir Marutamasmi Nakshatranam aham Shashi. Of the 12 Aditya sons, see, sun has got different manifestations. The one sun that we see has got different manifestation. So they are all called as Aditya, Aditi. One born to Aditi is known as Aditya. So of the 12 Adityas, I am Vishnu. Vishnu is one of the name of those 12 Adityas. And then Adityanam aham Vishnu Jyotisham Raviram Shuman. Among the luminaries, that means of the bright beings, I am the radiant sun. And then he says, among the 7 Maruts, that means the wind, I am Marichi. Marichi is the name of one of the 7 winds. In Hinduism, every object, everything has got a particular identity. Everything has got a particular identity, a name. So, for example, breathing in, breathing out, and the breath that goes within ourselves and digests the food, and then the breath which takes the life out of our being, all of them have got a particular name. I am not going to details of that. So everything has got a particular name. So with that we will be able to understand that yes, that the divine being is manifest within me as this. So he says, among the 7 Maruts I am Marichi, and of the nakshatras, there are so many nakshatra means stars. Among the stars, I am the moon. Moon is also one of the stars, according to Bhagavad Gita here. Vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vasavaha indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam asmi chetana. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. All of us know that there are 4 Vedas. What are the 4 Vedas? Rig, Yaju, Sama and Atharva Veda. Good. Atharva Veda, correct. So there are these 4 Vedas. They deal with different aspects of knowledge. Sama Veda, it teaches us, or it is the basis of all music. Sama Veda is the basis of all music. So Sri Krishna is saying that among all the Vedas, even though Sama Veda was a later Veda, Rig Veda was the first, and then Yajur Veda, Sama Veda was the third, but yet Sri Krishna says that among all the Vedas, Sama Veda, I am in the Sama Veda. Why? Because music is the most easiest, or the easiest vehicle to reach God. The easiest vehicle to reach God is through music. That is why Sri Krishna is saying that Sama Veda. In the olden days, when the music had not developed as it is today, like Carnatic Sangeet and others, so in those days, Sama Veda, they used to sing the hymns of the Veda in a very particular tone, in a particular raga. They used to do that, and from that developed the music styles that we find today. So Sri Krishna also in elsewhere he says that the dearest of my devotees are those who sing my name and glories with great emotion. Sri Krishna says there. Vedanam samavedosmi. And then he says, Devanam asmi vasavaha. Among the Devas, who are the Devas? The brilliant, the bright beings. Those who protect the universe. These beings, God himself, who has appointed people. Just like we appoint the Prime Minister or, the ministers and all of that. In the same way, the divine also appoints these different people to look after the different aspects of life. So they are all given a particular portfolio, a particular responsibility to look after the universe. So he says, Devanam asmi vasavaha. Among all of them, there is a person who will look after their welfare. Those who are looking after our welfare, their welfare also has to be taken care of. So Indra is the one who is the Lord of all of them. Therefore he says, Devanam asmi vasava. Vasava means Indra. And then Indriyanam manaschasmi. Among the Indriyas, Indriyas means the senses. Manahacha asmi. I am the mind. See, why does he say the mind? Mind can either bind us or it can release us, isn't it? Whatever we do in our life is through our mind. The intellect gives order to the mind, and sometimes the mind listens to it and sometimes it does not listen to it. So that is the problem with the mind. But if we think that the divine is taking care of my mind, if the divine is in our mind, then we will be going towards the right path. So he says here, Indriyanam manaschasmi. I am the mind. In fact, it is the mind that controls the other organs, isn't it? If the mind is that which controls the other organs. If the mind says, look at this, the eyes will look at it. If the mind says, close your eyes, do not look at anything, then it will do that. So the mind is mind must become very strong. We should have total control over this mind. Chetana bhutanam asmi, and of all the living beings I am intelligence. Chetana means consciousness. We all are aware of ourselves, isn't it? That awareness, I am. We say, I am. And then we say, I am so and so. First of all, I say, I am. That amness, that beingness, that is called as Chetana. There are some people who have dementia and all of that. They just do not know who they are, isn't it? They do not know their name, they do not know their existence, whether they have eaten or not, and all of that. Because their Chetana has not been, is not functioning properly. So here, but it is there, it is very much there. Through different therapies, one can bring it back as well. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vittesho Yaksharakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meruhu Shikarinam. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi. Among the Rudras. What is the meaning of Rudra? Rudra is one who eradicates, one who gets rid of all problems, is known as Rudra. One of the meanings of Rudra, Sanskrit word Rudra means one who eradicates all our problems. Or the another meaning, there are many meanings, another is one who gives us speech. One who gives us speech. The ability to speak is also known as Rudra. And then there is another meaning of Rudra, one who is the destroyer. That is also another meaning. So all of these meanings are. There are 11 Rudras. That means this aspect of Rudra has got 11 names. So they are Aja, Ekapada, Ahirbudnya, Tvashta, and Rudra, Hara, Shambhu, Triambaka, Aparajita, Ishana, and Tribhuvana. All these are the 11 names of Rudra. They have each got some functions. So therefore, they are known as 11 Rudras. Among all of them, he says, Rudranam Shankaraha, Sham Karoti iti Shankaraha. Sham means peace. Sham also means bringing joy. Karoti. Karoti means one who does, or one who performs, or one who gives. Sham Karoti, one who brings in peace, one who brings in joy into our lives, is known as Shankara. So among all the Rudras, he says, Shankara, I am the Shankara. Then Vitteshaha Yaksha Rakshasam. Among the Yakshas and Rakshasas. In Hindu mythology, we find different beings. One are known as the Yakshas, and then there are the others known as Asuras, and then there we also have Rakshasas. So Yaksha, Asura, and Rakshasa. These are known to be not so noble creatures. No, not so noble creatures. One thing we must always remember, while we are all aware of ourselves as humans and that we live in this world that we are in, there are other worlds also above this world, which we call as lokas. Lokyate iti lokaha, where beings exist. So there are different beings in different lokas. We cannot see them, but that does not mean that they are not there. The rishis, the sages and the yogis, they see them. They can even interact with them. It is possible for them. So the rishis have come up with this thought or with this instruction to us, saying that there are other beings like the yakshas. First of all, there are the devas, and then there are the gandharvas, and then there are the yakshas, then there are the asuras, and then there are the rakshasas. They all are situated in different levels. Chaturdasha Bhuvana Loka. In the Hindu scriptures speak of 14 levels of existence. Ours is only one level of existence. Above this, there are many, many more levels of existence, Chaturdasha Bhuvana. So, it says among the Vittesho Yaksha Rakshasam, among the Yakshas and Rakshasas. He is translated here as the demigods and the titans. Demigods and the titans. They also have got some function in their life, and as long as they are not released from their bondage, they will have to remain in that, and then they will get and become merged with Brahman or the divine. So among them, one of them is Kubera. Kubera is the giver of all wealth. Kubera was known to be one of the brothers of Ravana, Ravana's brother Kubera. So Kubera is among all those Kubera, because he is the repository, he is the treasurer of all wealth. He keeps the treasury with him. It's not just money that we think of, it is all the riches, all the noble qualities are with Kubera. And then he says, of the 8 Vasus, Ashta Vasus, I am Agni. Vasus technically means those who protect are known as Vasu. Like a big Vasu, that is the Naga or the serpent with many hooded serpent is there. So that is also protecting the universe. In the same way, Vasu Nam, among the Vasus, I am Agni, fire. See, today in our world, the world of humans, fire plays a great important part, isn't it? Fire gives us heat, fire gives us light, and fire helps us to make our food. So heat and fire are the integral part of a human being's life. Therefore, he says, among the Vasus, I am Agni, fire. And then he says, Meruhu Shikarinam Aham. Among the mountain tops, I am Meru. Traditionally, according to mythology, Meru is supposed to be a mythical mountain or mythical peak, which is the center or the spine of the earth, Some people think that Mount Kailas is supposed to be a Meru. Some others have some other meanings for it, but Mount Kailas is known to be Meru in today's world. So he says, I am the Meru. That is, wherever there is any excellence, wherever there is any goodness or greatness, I am present. That is the idea. Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam viddhi partha brihaspatim senani namaham skandaha sarasamasmi sagaraha. Purodhasam cha mukhyam. Among the priests, know me to be the chief among them, that is Brihaspati, the priest of the Devas. See, among the priests, I am the chief among them. Brihaspati, the divine priest, who performs all who gets the Devas and Danavas and others perform all the rituals, etc., is known to be a great intellectual person, extraordinary intelligence. So he is called as Brihaspati. Even today, in some parts of India, if somebody is very intelligent, we say, "Oh, you are like Brihaspati." You are like Brihaspati. That means you are very extraordinarily intelligent. In olden days, the kings used to have their guru, the chief priest, who used to advise the king in matters of governing the kingdom. Of course, there was always the chief minister was there, but apart from the chief minister, this guru or he used to give knowledge, because his knowledge was very pure. That person, the Brihaspati's or the Guru's knowledge is extremely pure, is not tainted by any partiality over there. Therefore he says here, I am the chief among the priests, Brihaspati, priest of the Devas. Senaninam aham Skandaha. Among the warlords, I am Skanda. Among the chieftain or the chief of staff of the army, I am Skanda. Skanda, later the Skanda name has been taken to represent Subramanya or Muruga in the south, and it's also there in Chinese mythology also. You see Skanda over there. Most of them, hopefully they have all gone from Hindu traditions. So he says, I am Skanda. And then he says, Sarasam Sagarahasmi. Sarasam, among the water bodies, the water reservoirs, where there is a lot of water, I am the ocean. We have what is known as the sea, and then we have also what is called as the ocean. Ocean is vast, and the sea might be smaller than it, according to English terminology. Then Maharshinam Bhriguraham Giram Asmekamaksharam Yajnanam Japayajñosmi Sthavaranam Himalayaha. Maharshinam, among the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Bhrigu Maharshi was a great Maharshi who sacrificed his own self for the sake of the protection of the earth. So he is now among all the great sages. See, this is where you see a lot of sacrifice. God is very present over there. A person who can sacrifice himself or herself, one's own comforts. So such a person is also taken as a form of the divine, or the divine's presence is more felt in such places or in such persons. Then Priguhu, and then Giram Asmi Ekamaksharam. Among all the utterances, among all the sounds that are made, I am the Eka Aksharam. What is the Eka Akshara? Om. Om is Eka Akshara. That is a one syllabled mantra. So all the sounds that we find in the universe is within this one syllable called Om. Because there is the beginning sound of everything, which begins from the navel, and then there is the middle U, and then the end of everything So all these three sounds, which practically encompasses all the sounds, is all represented by this monosyllable, one syllable called the Om. So he says, among all utterances, among all sounds, I am the monosyllabled Om. In many places, Sri Krishna, as well as the Upanishads, speak of how Om is the beginning, is the middle, and the end of the whole of this creation. So he says here, if we catch hold of this one thing, like we play with the kite, we use the kite, and then we send the kite up into the air, and we control the kite with the help of a string. That string is like the Om is like that string. So we can catch hold of the divine, we can reach to the divine. So it is the sutra, it is the string with which we can connect ourselves to the divine, we can reach to the divine. Therefore this mantra Om is the holiest among all mantras. Even if you do not know anything else, just chant the mantra Om within yourself, and a great peace will overtake you. And then he says, Yajnanam Japa Yajna. Yajna means offering. Yajna also means a ritual that you perform, homam or havan and all that is known as yajna. So the whole of our life is a yajna. All the time we are receiving from the divine and then we are giving it back to the divine. This receiving and giving back process is known as yajna. The rituals is different, but in spiritual life, receiving anything from the divine and giving it back to the divine in the form of the poor, in the form of the needy, in the form of the helpless. So we give it back to the divine, or in the form of animals, etc. So he says, among all the holy offerings, Sri Krishna says, what is the best offering that we can do is japa. Japa. What is it? Japa. What does japa mean? Japa means chanting the name of God. Repetition of the name of the divine. Whatever name you want to take, doesn't matter at all. As long as it has holy connections, no problem at all. So you take the name of, so that japa or that the mantra, slowly and slowly, it assumes a great Shakti or a power within ourselves. Tremendous power comes. So Japa Yajna is a form wherein you continuously repeat it for a particular period. It may be for 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever it is. In our ashrams, in some of our ashrams, we have this Japa Yajna programs. So once a month, people come. And for nearly 24 hours, somebody or the other is always sitting in the shrine and they are repeating the name Japa. Somebody then, once their time is over, somebody else can come. And some people sit there for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours also and do the Japa Yajna. We see that very often. So it is possible. So through the name, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Nam Nami Abhed. Nama means the name and the Nami means the person who is named. The name Rama and the person who is named as Rama, they are non-different. That is, the name represents the divine and the divine is present in the name also. So God becomes manifest in the mantra, in the name that we chant. So that is why the name is considered to be so holy. You don't repeat it anywhere and everywhere. That is one method. The other method is you repeat God's name anywhere. At all times you can repeat the name of God. That is another way. One is doing it with great sanctity. That means you sit at a particular place with some purity and all that, and you do the Japan like our Gayatri mantra and other things, which is not repeated anywhere and everywhere. It should be repeated at certain places or at certain times. You repeat the name of the divine, and then there are certain rituals accompanied by chanting of that. But then there are again other names like Rama or Krishna or other names. We can repeat that name at all times, whether you are pure or impure. Apavitra pavitro va sarva avastham gatopi va. Whether I am pure or impure, at all places, at all times, I take the name of the divine so that I can become pure. So God's name purifies our whole being. The more you repeat the name of the divine with love, of course not just mechanically, but with great love, so much purity will come, so much joy will come within. So he says here, among all the yajnas, among all the rituals that are performed, Japa Yajna is repetition of the divine name is most precious. And then he says, Thavaranam Himalaya. Among the immovable objects, I am the Mount Himalaya. Now, through the mentions he has made, formerly he has spoken of the Mount Meru, which is also a great mountain. There it is a spiritual representation of the heights of human excellence, that is called as Meru. But here he is talking about the physical mountain. I do not know how many miles, at least it should be for 3,400 kilometers wide. The Himalayas is 3,400 or more wide, and then it is high also. Therefore, he says among the Mount Himalaya, among all of that. We will take up the next verse next Sunday. Om Shantakaram Bhujagashyanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasdrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogiridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavavayaharam Sarvalokaikanatham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna.